Texas Small Farmers and Ranchers CBO.
All right. Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. I hope you heard my sound. I don't know if you heard my sound, but that's okay. That's okay. You got the video. We're a pleasure to have you at another exciting monthly knowledge forum, y'all. Are y'all ready to learn? Because I'm excited about this one today. I am so excited because we are joined again by the amazing Uriah. Every single month we've had him share information. We've just had conversations, questions, impact. Like folks have come with questions, and I'm not expecting this to be any less. Today is going to be a good one because we are talking about growing and selling our own food. So I'm very excited. Hey, Phil, how are you?
Doing good, man. Excited to be a fly on the wall as well and listen and learn.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, first things first, one of the key things we love to do at our Knowledge Forum is to learn where everyone is and just drop a quick poll. This poll is just a way, it's like our mini icebreaker. It's a way for us to learn about you, where you're joining us from, what you're producing slash growing, or what you hope to produce slash grow on your farm slash ranch. And what type of livestock do you raise or hope to raise on your farms slash ranch? One thing about Texas Small Farmers and Ranchers that is we strive to educate and encourage everyone to grow. I didn't properly introduce myself. My name is Uchenai Agba. For the first people who have never met me, I work with the Texas Small Farmers and Ranchers team, and the amazing P. Wade Ross is also here as well. He is joining us, and yeah, so the poll is up, y'all. So please share with us where you're joining us from. What do you produce or hope to produce on your farm slash ranch? And what type of livestock do you raise or hope to raise on your farm? I'm going to start first. I'm in San Antonio, Texas, northern San Antonio, Texas, north side, and we have in my home we are doing herbs. Potatoes right now are going very well, thank you. So I'm very excited about that. But yeah, hopefully I got the green light from my landlord to have compost on my in my backyard. So I'm starting a little composting. That's another course, another class, and that's something I learned from P8 already about how to compost. So I've started my little what do you call a sandwich, compost sandwich going on in my backyard. So I'm very excited about that. And I don't have any livestock. They will not let me put any livestock right now, which is okay. That's all right. I got worms, so that's the livestock they're gonna get, and all the birds that fly in to enjoy some of the nutrients. Phil, you want to share something about yours from for what you're growing or what you where you
Yeah,
are?
yeah, we are in Bryan College Station, Texas, where our farm is, and we are uh we are a teaching farm right now, so we got a little bit of everything from seasonal specialty crops, from purple hope peas to to watermelon and everything in between. Not really. We don't really have any cash crops other than we do peanuts and also buckwheat and potatoes. So that's probably the closest we get to cash crops. We are certified seed grower, so we
Mhm.
specialize in Tifton 85, but other seeds as well. And our animals right now consist of, let's see, we got lambs, pigs, um, chicken. Feel like I'm leaving out a couple of different things, but it'll
I think
come to me. But
I
anyway,
think I
that's what
think
we got.
goats also isn't it? Don't you have goats as well?
We got goats as well. Yeah.
Yeah. As you can see, I've been to Phil's farm. It is amazing. It is beautiful. It is beautiful down there. But yeah, so we have a few people have answered. I'm gonna end the poll. so we can get some of these answers down. So yeah, let's see. Let me see where everybody's coming from. Let me see what's going on. So stop sharing that. Okay, we got guests from Dallas, Texas. Is that North Connecticut by way of Tennessee? Welcome. Another guest from Dallas. We have another guest from Hazlet, Texas. Welcome. We have another guest from Pflugerville. Welcome. Another guest from Houston. Awesome. Wow, y'all are coming in from everywhere. I'm so excited to have you. Um, so, second question about what guests are producing or hope to produce in the farm. One of the guests said we have lots of herbs, greens, watermelon, and much more. No cash crops. That's okay. That's all right. Watermelon is a cash crop now. Depends on how you convert it and use it. And we're going to learn more about that today. So, we're going to learn all about that. Another guest said grass for feed. Yes. Another guest said not yet. That's okay. That's why you're here to learn, grow, and understand. We want to get you from no plants at all to having the most luscious greens ever growing wherever you choose to grow. Another guest says arugula, tomatoes, ground cherries, lemon basil, and hope to produce sweet potatoes. Come on now, join the sweet potato club. I'm in there. Join the sweet potato club. Welcome, welcome. Another guest says, right now I'm growing the knowledge base of my future garden. You are at the right place. And that's where we want you to be because here we want to meet you wherever you are, whether you are not growing, whether you have a little pot in your backyard, whether you have a little herb station in your kitchen, it doesn't matter. Our goal is to get you to where you want to go and your goal of growing. So welcome. Another guest said edibles. Okay, now I don't know why you talk about edibles, but welcome, welcome. We're glad to have you. Another guest says specialty crops. Yes, there's a lot of opportunities with specialty crops. Um, now we move to the third question. So we move along because I know Uriah's presentation is going to be really good. The question was, what type of livestock do you raise or hope to raise on your farm slash ranch? Now, a majority of y'all said chickens. Another guest said bee and honey. Another guest said not yet. That's all right. Welcome. Another guest says hope to raise goats and chickens soon. You can, hey, you know what they say? You get one chicken, it becomes 20. I can't explain it. It's just how it happens. So little investment in terms of buying one, but they expand and of course they become a huge investment for sure. But no, that's perfectly fine. And then another guest said no livestock, but that's okay. That's all right. One of our lessons that we actually teach here in one of the knowledge room is how to utilize what type of livestock because livestock can range anything from the worms and little critters to large livestock like cows. We're not expecting everyone to have the space for cows, but of course, if there's opportunity where you can utilize small critters, even your worm, your garden worm is also a livestock because it's all starts with good soil, and every livestock follows that life cycle of ensuring your soil is nourished and you can grow beautiful produce going forward. One guest said none, and that's okay. Another guest said pigs. All right. Oh, I need like me some bacon. I like me some good bacon. I just had some this morning for breakfast. And yeah, I'm always excited when I see a pig farmer or someone that got pigs. It's always exciting to learn about the challenges and also the opportunities that come with having pigs as well. So yeah, thank y'all so much for answering those questions. Really appreciate your participation in this. So I know we're waiting for Uriah to join us in a second. But yeah, Phil, can you talk to us? Today we're talking about growing your own crops. And I know that you are very familiar with not only growing, but making and selling your own crops. And I know we're gonna jump into something called the what's the word again? What's the word? Some laws. We are not lawyers, by the way, y'all. Just want to clarify that we're not lawyers, but we do understand some of the processes that involve with it. And I think Phil, can you share some of the recap from this weekend from our amazing program called the Texas Bypass Program? And this is kind of like, you know a scenario where we want you all to be at, where you are taking your produce and then selling it to the public. Phil?
All right. So one correction there is that we are not, while we've been farming in our family for quite a while, we are not uh, accustomed to selling our products, at least our crops. We have in the past sold livestock, especially with our cattle, and we've sold hay pretty prevalently. But when it comes to crops, it has been an elusive thing for most people who look like us. I'm just going to be upfront and honest. There hasn't, due to some policies and just the way things are, um, there has been some gaps and barriers when it comes to selling fresh produce, for selling crops, whether it's specialty crops, cash crops. I don't know of any farmer, any black farmer who's doing that on a wide scale, in Texas anyway. Sure, on the East Coast, Atlantic Coast, that's more prevalent for the farmers who are actually farmers, but Texas has the most black farmers by far. So anyway, the program that Uche is referring to is called the Texas Bypass Program. And what it's done is taken just what I shared with you and reverse engineered it. We're bypassing all those roadblocks and we're growing food and we're connecting it with our community eaters. And we're basically creating our own food supply chain within our communities. It's actually started off with community buyers, whether it's, buyers clubs that are within churches. It's also community centers and community institutions. That's phase one. Phase two, stay tuned, but it will include such things as school districts and certain big ticket purchasers, institutional purchasers, cafeterias, universities, as such. So they're waiting in the wings. And the cool thing about it is there's no quotas. That's one of the biggest barriers for us is we never could get off the ground because we were required to have all these different quotas. And even if we met them, it was tough to maintain them. So that's out the door. We're trying to meet you where you are. Sure, as we move up to some of the phase two and phase three partners, they'll probably eventually have some certain quotas, but the plan is always to have phase one in play. And the biggest thing, which most of us don't realize until it's too late as farmers, and this isn't just for us who are on this call, but for all farmers, is most of them go out of business before they even get started because they're great at farming, but finding their own markets is tough. So this is designed for us to earn as we learn what our niches are and what we're good at. And some ask us, sometimes they're like, hey, what if we get so big that we don't need you guys anymore? Perfect. Hey, mission accomplished. That's not what this is about. We're about exactly that is growing, helping you grow. You may not ever want to leave the program. That's fine too. And you may have other, avenues where you're selling great. That's fine too. But we're just trying to circulate that dollar, starting in DFW, but we're headed down to Houston towards the end of this summer and then over to San Antonio, Austin, and because Texas is such a unique place with all those municipalities within three and a half hours of each other. So that's it. We already launched it. Y'all check out our newsletter if you're not quite sure what I mean by that. But hey, this train has already started down the track. Might not be for everybody right now. If it ain't for you, that's okay. We're gonna keep going and eventually, hopefully you jump on board.
Thank you, Phil. And look at that. You already have a hand raised to ask a question. Fawn, if you could just jump in the chat. Okay, she said, I love the sound. I love the sound of this bypass program. Yes, Fawn. Yes, yes. Please hold the question about the bypass because Phil's here to answer all questions regarding that. after at the end of the webinar. But yes, please, 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 the bypass is such an exciting opportunity for our farmers and an opportunity where you can get your goods out to people that don't usually get to have our kind of nutrients rich produce. So, Uriah, let's welcome our esteemed host. Well, not host, our esteemed speaker today. He's also a host. He's also an amazing guy. Um, he is not an expert. He is a learner like us, but he's way more knowledgeable than most of us. I would say he's more knowledgeable than I am. I know that for sure. So, hey, look, I'm already excited to talk all his praises. But Uriah, welcome, 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 welcome. Thank you for joining us.
Hey, thank you, Uche, for that awesome introduction. And we got a really juicy topic here today. And just want everybody to strap in and let's get this information.
All right, all right. You heard him right. Everyone, I will suggest for this one, have your pen and paper because he's gonna be going in deep. I've already seen slides, so it's gonna be fun. Uriah, feel free to share.
All right. Okay. All right. You know, this slide right here doesn't have any words on it, not even a welcome or hello or anything. What's going on in this slide? You can put it in the chat. You can, if anybody want to say anything, what is happening in this slide? What is happening? This weekend, I had the pleasure of being at the Juneteenth event in Dallas, Texas, and these pictures are like these are brand new shots, and these are people. Actually, I'm going to say it because I'm not sure. I think I see some things in the chat right there. I don't know, Uche, you want to say what's going on in the chat?
Yes, yes, we have some folks that have already made comments. Fawn says looks like a farmer's market stand.
Okay.
Nicholas says selling and marketing of goods. Phil
Hmm.
says commerce. I say I see people selling produce.
Yeah, people selling produce, right? And so that's what it is. This sister right here, this is what a farmer's market table is supposed to look like, overflowing with abundance, all kind of stuff. You just have to stop and look, right? And what is this? What is that? And she's doing her thing. This is I think Mama Joppy. Let me know if I'm all right, if I can say that on the thing. But she's in this.
Joppy Mama.
Joppy Mama, thank you. And I love the work that she's doing up there. There were a lot of great vendors who are producing food up in the Dallas area. And so she I think she got the I think she knows the assignment and she is accomplishing it. So let's keep on going here. Okay. Uh-oh. Okay. Real quick plug. Let's Grow. This is the book that I authored, was written to recognize and honor the agricultural prosperity, sovereign attitude, and entrepreneurial genius of our foreparents, and also to ensure that our children never forget the accomplishments that we accomplished. And so this is the book we will never forget. It's called Let's Grow. And I'll also put that link in the chat. Okay. So here we go. Real quick, this is one of my favorite. Every time I show this slide, I kind of add something else to it. And what is this saying? Somebody got to say it because I'm going to use pictures today because pictures say a lot more than words sometimes, right? And so let's say what is this saying right here? Do anybody any comments with this? Any comments? Any comments? What is this? And that's what the first picture said also.
We have
You know,
someone saying, Nicholas said, food is money.
thank you, sir. Thank you, Nicholas. All right, so food is money. It's the source of all wealth. You could be a bum on the street. You could be a millionaire in a skyscraper penthouse. You need something to eat every single day. America has changed. Inflation is rising. A lot of food is poison. Some of the things that we eat right now in supermarkets is literally not good for you, right? The supply chain is weak, and you are the solution. All right. This was taken during COVID, and I happened to be in a supermarket, and this woman was shopping, and you can see the empty shelves behind her. It was plenty wiped out. Did people stop eating during COVID? Did they stop eating? Maybe they stopped eating
No,
during COVID.
no, we were eating more than we should have, if you ask me.
Yeah, we were eating more than we should, right? We were still eating, is my point. When everything else stopped, but with food, you still needed something to drink and you still needed something to eat. All right, this was another image. We have a lot of ranchers on the site, people that produce beef, and I heard somebody, Uche, you mentioned bacon earlier today. But look at the shelves are wiped out. So this was an opportunity. Wherever you see, I heard today somebody said, the rainbow only comes when after the storm is past. And so we're looking at a storm coming our way. And so we want to be prepared, get in the habit of providing and producing. Okay. So I'm going to go into the Texas Cottage Food Law, and it sets up boundaries on what products are allowed and how you can run your business. Let me see here. Real quick, this kind of, I think this is out of place. But anyway, I'm going to go into it. So this is the Texas Cottage Food Law. And once again, this is Joppy Mama. And she's in the back of her stand. And so, um, I don't know, Uche, did you have one of your questions queued up right there? Maybe not. Maybe
Yes,
not.
I do.
Okay, what's that question, sir?
All right, y'all. We have a first question.
Hmm.
Can you sell your fruits and vegetables directly to your neighbors without a state license? And I'm dropping
Mm.
chat. I'd love everyone to kind of share their thoughts on it. Can you sell your fruits and vegetables directly to your neighbors without a state license? All right. We love participation in this one. I told y'all we'll be going right in.
It's gonna be a I need participation for this class right here, okay? Because I want
Yeah.
everybody to really understand that we live in a unique place and there are a lot of laws to help you and some guidelines in place to also for safety's sake. And I see you got about three answers, 3 or 4 answers, Uche.
Yeah. So Fawn says probably not.
Mm.
Natasha said Natasha said yes.
Hmm.
Noel said I don't have any to sell. That's all right, Noel. You still got to know the law now. They said we still got to know the law.
Hmm.
Nicholas said yes, but labels are necessary. Texas Cottage Food Law covers it. Okay. Another guest said yes, as long as you grow it from seed and up to a certain amount. Okay, we got
Okay.
some.
We're gonna talk about the Texas Cottage Food Law, but real quick, you can sell homegrown vegetables in Texas with no state license to direct to consumer retail sales. You can just sell it directly to them. Your neighbor wants to come over, you got a little stand in your front yard. You got whole vegetables, fresh, even frozen from your farm, a roadside stand, or at a farmer's market. You can sell fresh vegetables. It's probably one of the easiest things to sell. There's going to be three or four different things that are very easy to sell. And so retail sales, that's a little bit different. You may need a TDA, Texas Department of Agriculture license, or state health permit to sell raw, uncut, whole fruits and vegetables retail. Farmers markets, some of them might require some type of license, or your individual cities or counties may require you to do something. But most, like I looked at, I think it was what county was that? Either Wilson or Bear County, and they really said that it depends on. Most of them do not require any type of special licensing because I see like little farm stands all over the place in the country, and they're definitely not. I even asked them like, "What do you need to get? Do set this up?" They said, "Oh, no, they don't really need anything, you know." But there are some rules. Now, this does not really apply to the Texas Cottage Food Law. I just wanted to throw that out there because if, let me see the next slide here. If you,
Uriah, sorry
okay,
to interrupt you. We have someone that asks you to repeat what you said, so they'll love you to take this a little slower.
Oh, okay. When it comes to selling homegrown vegetables in Texas, you do not need a state license for direct to consumer retail sales. All right. You can sell whole, fresh, or even frozen vegetables from your farm or roadside stand or at a farmer's market. Now, the farmer's markets, once again, some of them they might require you to get a safety handler's license or something to really cover their self to make sure that you still got to be clean, right? You still have to practice good sanitation. These are some things, just don't put some dirty, crops up there. You do have to, I would clean certain things, but like Texas allows you to sell fruits and vegetables that you grew directly to consumer with no issues. You have to get a license for that. You do not need a license for that. Did I make myself clear?
Yes, sir.
All right.
Can I interject just quick on that too? Is
Beautiful.
that best practice for food safety is to recommend that whoever purchases it that they wash you know, they wash off their fruits and vegetables. It's just a good practice, best practice to let them know once they purchase from you, just recommend that it just protects you as well.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. Okay, yeah, a lot of people, I see some people literally buy packages of vegetables from the grocery store and will just take them and dump them directly into the water. And I was like, whoa, what? You got to rinse that stuff off. You might want to use some water and vinegar, even though it says triple washed or whatever. You gotta protect yourself, protect yourself. Let's go to this next slide. This is this is a label. Now, hold on for a second. These slides are not in the proper order. Okay. I'm going to talk about this. I have to talk about it because it's here. The Texas the cottage law for Texas food cottage law bill says that you must, if you make it yourself in your home, you can directly sell it to consumers. But if something is made in your home, you do have to put up labels. And so what you see here is a label, and I'm going to go through all the different things that need to be on the label. And I'm going to start all the way over here on the left, and it says your name or your business name logo is optional on the very left, right? You must list the major allergens. You do not have to list all the ingredients, but you do have to have things that people may be allergic to. All right. You do have to put on a date. This is required. This on made on date only required for wholesale or refrigerated foods. Okay. Here, safe handling instructions, and like Phil just said, you might want to tell people, make sure I might have washed these or whatever, but I suggest that to prevent illness from bacteria, keep this food refrigerated. So you're telling people how to handle this once they get it. And then right here it says must be in at least a 12-point font. Very important. So you want people to be able to read. Don't try to be slick and hide stuff. Just let them see it. Okay. This is super important. This right here, this product was produced in a private residence that is not subject to governmental licensing or inspection. This is required on these labels when you the first thing I talked about was crops that you grew yourself, which is really outside of the cottage law. But this right here is a requirement for cottage. If you make something yourself, you must let the consumer know this product was produced in a private residence. Okay, this is not subject to governmental licensing or inspection. They got you. This has to be on your label. And the last thing above it says home address or DSHS, Department of Safety and Health. Oh man, the DHS label is a license number that will lead to your address. If you don't want to put your address on your label, which I wouldn't put I probably wouldn't do that because I don't want anybody coming up to my house and, hey, I just want to come by and see your farm. I didn't put that there for that reason. So, you want to make sure that, you have either you have your home address. You might not care about your home address, right? But you also can have a DSHS Cottage Food License number, which is just as good. All right. Okay, agriculture is number one economic engine on the planet. That's one of my favorite slides. And then, of course, I have a picture. My father, who practiced this, I think our parents understood this very well. They were children of the Depression or right after the Depression, and they understood that everyone needs something to eat. This is something my father used to always say to me. And he just like made it really clear. It's just like you produce food, you're gonna be in business. People like you. This transcends color. This transcends race. This transcends creed, religion, anything. You need something to eat. Okay. Okay. So real quick, I'm gonna give you an illustration, a real quick illustration, an example of how much money is being spent, how much money is being spent all over in our communities, and particularly right here, I'm going to use Dallas, Fort Worth, Arlington metro area to show as an example of how much money is being I can't use the word circulated. It just leaves. If we're not producing anything, then we're not really. It's not circulating. It might go to a restaurant or two, but how many of us are literally going to a farm or a restaurant and saying like, "Here's my money. Um, I like your food and I want to support." So let's see here. It says the population of Dallas, the Dallas-Fort Worth area, Arlington metro area is about 7 million. I'm gonna say 8 million. I'm gonna round it up and say 8 million. So you have 2.7 per household. You have a total households of uh, 2.8 million people, 2.8 million households, excuse me. And I like to round numbers up because these numbers are like tongue twisters, okay? I'm just gonna read it out loud. And 2,836,892 households. That's a lot, right? You gotta keep saying that over and over. So I round it up and I say 3 million. 3 million households. 25% are African American households in the Dallas Fort Worth area. Okay. So this is, I'm gonna say 710,000 black households are in the Dallas Fort Worth area. This is a lot of people, a lot of households. All right. So we have 710,000 black households. How much does the average American family spend on food per week? And I'm going to wait for your responses for this. Let's get some responses for this.
Okay, y'all. How much is spent by the average American household? Can I give my answer?
No, you can't because you've already
Oh,
heard this.
I
Yeah.
pick me, pick
Eh,
me, pick me. Okay, we have answers coming in. Nicholas
Okay.
Tillman says 250 to $300.
Okay.
D says $1,000. Ooh, D, who
Mhm.
you feeding?
Wow. If you got a big family, that might be true.
That's
That's what
that's true. That's true. That is true. Let me. Hey, I'm only two, and mine is around 250 to 300. So I can
Wow.
imagine
Yeah.
family of five. We have another guest said Natasha said 200. Spawn says food as in groceries or eating out or both. Let's not
Both.
add eat
Both.
both.
Both. Yeah,
Ooh,
both. It don't matter. Just put in both.
ooh.
Yep. How
Well,
much does
that
the average American family spend on food? It doesn't
all
say
right.
cooked or uncooked. Okay. How many grocery shopping? Let's
Well,
stop over here at the restaurant and get some
well,
takeout, baby. You know.
well, now that you said both, those numbers have gone up. Noel says 250. Raquel says $1,200. Yeah, that's about right.
Wow.
Monique says 300. Another Noel says 350. Uh, 300 to 400 per week. Yep,
Mm.
yep.
Okay.
200 for Anjanetta. Ooh.
We got a lot. Okay,
Yeah.
let's keep it
When you
moving.
say when you say both, that changes a lot now.
It
Like now you
changes.
just
So let's go ahead and put the number. So it's 270. This is the average. So if you took like if you had like five that said 200, some say three, some say four or five, whatever. And then you go and you have some even going higher, and then you go back down low and you add them all together. You have 10 of them, you divide them by 10. this is going to be your average. And it's kind of like up and down and based upon your family size and also the need, right? Okay, so you multiply this number times $710,000, 270 times $710,000, 710,000 black households times 270 equals $191,700,000 leaves our communities per week.
I feel like that's a
This is
conservative number.
it probably is. And these numbers are actually, I think, about 2 or 3 years old. Even still, that's a lot, right? And
That's a lot. That's a lot. If per week, too, we ain't talking
this
per
this is
month.
this
That's
is
per
per
week.
week. Yeah. And I'm gonna keep on going. Okay. So we got 191,700,000 leaves our communities per week. Let's multiply this number by 52. And so this is what it looks like leaving our communities annually. $996,840,000 leaves our community per week. I'm gonna round that up and just say $1 billion leaves our communities per week. And like you said, it definitely is probably conservative. And so this is what so this is the reason why this presentation is so important. If you're not getting a little spoonful of that money, just a spoonful, let me make some jam or something and just like sell something. Let me sell something. I'm a pretty good cook, you know what I'm saying? I make good cakes and all kind of things. Let me see if I can scoop my church group, my lodge, the Boy Scout. Let me see who can I sell this stuff to? They should like if you make something, you should be the face of that product. We need a cake. Well, let me call Uche. Uche is the best cake maker I know. But sometimes that's not how we think. We're gonna go to Kroger's or HEB and find something. But okay, let's keep it going here. Really quick review. How many in the African American households in the Dallas-Fort Worth area? We said 710,000. And like I said, these numbers are several years old. How much does the average American family spend? And we're not just focused on, I'm not using that number, African American households. I just want us to be players in the game. I don't care who you're selling to. Other nations they don't care. They just say like, put up a store and like who's gonna show up? Let's just see. I know some people will try to depend on my church, my community, my group, my cousins and them. Nah, man, you gotta make a big net because them jokers will let you down sometime, right? They'll let you down. I thought you were gonna support me. Okay, but so you just want to be good at what you do. So we said that 270 is the average amount that people spend on food per week. Then we said per week, this is a big number that leaves our community every single week, $191,700,000 per week. And then we said that $1 billion leaves our communities per week, and I don't know if there's even I'm not going to go there. I was going to say, is there a grocery store in Dallas area okay. All right. Any comments before I move further? Any comments?
We do have some
Any?
comments from the chat. Folks are saying, that's a little too much of money leaving our community.
Mm,
Almost 1 billion from Fawn. Fawn also says, I definitely need to get in this bypass program. We got you,
mm,
Fawn. We got you. Um, of course, you've heard people have commenting mostly about how much people we spend as a
mm,
community, especially
mm.
when you add in eating out. And folks don't factor that in as part, but eating out is also part of the process. Where you go to spend your dollars matters. And of course, that's also leaving your community as well. So yeah.
Excellent. Excellent. Okay. Let's go here. I want to talk about something called CSAs. A CSA is a community supported agriculture project. And this is something new I just added. to my presentation because I think this right here is so important. And this gentleman's name, I'm gonna read this. It says the story of CSA model actually begins decades and decades earlier in the 1960s and 70s with a man named Booker T. Whatley. This quote, this little excerpt that I just read was taken out of an article, and they really tried to credit CSAs with I think New England and some other place in Europe, but it was actually this gentleman right here, Booker T. Whatley, who was a advocate for regenerative agriculture, among other environmental practices. So, about at the height of the civil rights movement, Whatley began counseling Black farmers who deeply engaged in that struggle. And so, what he did was he said, like, this is a way that you can guarantee support for your farm and keep your money flowing is if you have a you pick it type of operation. And so, because we also knew that Black farmers were routinely denied grants and loans from the federal government, costing them land, money, and agency. And as a way to help them keep their land while supporting the local Black communities, he advocated for you pick your own farms and what he called clientele member clubs, which entailed customers paying up front for a season of food as a way of guaranteeing business. And I have notes here I'm looking at. I don't want to, I think this information is super important. And many times I think that this is one of the reasons why we're not as active as we should be in this field because a lot of the history has been lost. You don't see yourself, you don't see yourself. You just don't see yourself. You see other nationalities picking the crops, you see them trucking and bringing in produce, but we don't see ourselves as being a producer. And so this gentleman, Booker T. Whatley, was one of the people that was a strong advocate and a creator of it. And it wasn't just about buying local. Okay, he wasn't just to support our communities, buy local, but it was survival for the Black folks in the regions where the civil rights struggle was happening. It was the only way, in many instances, that they were able to survive. And I want to let that sink in because this might be some of the ways that we survive. You might have some real strong political views, or somebody might not include you in their circle. You want to make sure that you have a way of producing income or getting people to still come to your farm. And that's what Booker T. Whatley. This is one of the main reasons that he did that he did what he did. And this is the book that he produced called How to Make $100,000 Farming on 25 Acres. This book right here, I should have purchased a long time ago. I did not buy a copy when it was like $25. Now I think it's up to $250. And if you can get
It's it's 625. I have my son check it. It's 200 something on eBay, but on Amazon it's like 600 plus.
600 plus, and I think you can buy a PDF version of it, but if you can get your hands on a copy, this is like, man, anyway. So this is a great book. This is a testimony to the greatness, the ingenuity, finding a way out of no way. When all the odds are against you, he still was able to create a income stream because what he was growing stuff. This wasn't for the people who weren't growing, didn't have the courage to grow, and so he showed us, say, hey, you can make money doing this. You just have to, first of all, your character got to be right, right? Don't take people's money and you ain't producing nothing now. Don't, be straight up with people. And I think that's a big thing that people know that you are going to do what you say you're going to do. Okay. And so this is a picture right here. It does not have, this has nothing to do with Booker T. Whatley, but I love this picture. I was searching on Google for produce providers, old pictures, and you can see that the husband is standing there proud. The wife is like, "Yep, we got it. We got this crop. We got this crops here." And they know they're making their money, and they have a old school pickup truck with their crops in the back of it. You can't beat that. Straight up cash. While I was in Dallas earlier this week, last Saturday, and the gentleman right beside us had watermelons. He had about 25 watermelons. And throughout the whole festival, people would come up and talk about the watermelons, but every once in a while they bought one because watermelons are heavy. But at the end of it, he sold every single watermelon and all of his eggs, and he just went, packed up his table and everything and went on home. And it's just like that, and you have to stick with it. He could have, I'm not thinking about it, he could have said, like, man, ain't nobody buying it. I think I'm gonna leave. But he just stayed put and sat there and he watched the people, and people asked him questions, and it just goes to show you, you just have to, like, sometimes you have to wait it out, right? And make sure you have a good product. He had excellent watermelons there, and I think he made really good money. All right.
Uche, you know who he's talking about, right?
Man,
Mr. Mr.
that's
Wright.
right.
He's really a model. He's a model farmer. He's been with our organization for quite a while, but I do want to comment on that, Uriah, if you don't mind,
Oh
just
yeah.
real quick. It's real interesting because between 1910 and 1970, there was a thing called the Great Migration.
Mm,
It was over 6 million of us moved north. We was running away from the land. We were running away from the farming. And for most part, rightfully so. It was tough, a lot of sharecropping. I know that's part of Uriah's background as well. But
yeah.
it's interesting, 100 years later, we're coming back to the land for that very same reason. We're understanding that even though we left, we should never have abandoned our skill set. We should have been growing our gardens, wherever we moved to, we should have kept that because that's who we are. That's what we do. And guess what? There people got to eat every day, just as Uriah said. So here we are, the same folks are trying to, number one, rekindle a lot of the stuff that died with our parents and our grandparents as far as the skill sets of growing with a pitchfork or shovel and nature. And that's what we're trying to bring back to y'all. So I see a couple comments. Just know you're at the same point that actually, you're better off than most traditional or what they call conventional farmers who have learned in the last 70 years, because there's a lot of stuff they have to unlearn. So if you're on here and you're feeling like you're a little bit behind, we're here to tell you you're not. But get in now, get this knowledge now. We're trying to give it away for free. To be honest with you, there should be about 150 to 200 people on here based on what Uriah has already shared with you. So we've been trying to give this information away, but folks feel like it's still like slave gardening, farming, that's slave work. No, 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 no. That's money.
Yeah, that's money. Hey, Phil, good point. You also want to mention that some people left for economic reasons. It's like, man, we're not gonna make any money. My father definitely, they were sharecroppers. My parents made it real clear. They said, we were picking raspberries, strawberries, cotton, whatever was open for them to pick, but they were kind of stuck in a place where they couldn't really make any money. And my parents they owned land still. My mother was paying taxes on it every year, certain land that they had in the Tennessee area. So, it was trying they were funneling money back to keep whatever was what they had going in the South. And I think today we are seeing a reawakening. People are returning back to land. I agree with you 100% with that. Okay. This slide right here, we are the spearhead of the healthy local food movement. We just are articles proving that we are some of the most organic food eating food people that you put up healthy this, we're going to show up there because we like to we want to eat what's good for us. Okay. And so we have influenced through the course of history, rap music, basketball, peanuts, chicken. We can cause a healthy local food movement. And once again, like I said at the very beginning, we are the solution and always have been the solution. Booker T. Whatley demonstrated that. All right. Okay. The question is always going to be whenever we talk about what are you selling, or the question is going to be who are you selling to? This is the big question right here, because based upon who you're selling to will determine what you're going to need to sell food, to sell. So if you're selling directly to consumers, we mentioned very early on that directly to the consumer really doesn't take, there's no, especially if it's vegetables and crops like that, you can sell directly to consumer when there's no middleman, and you have no, you really have no boundaries. Texas, I think it's SB 541 or 241 that says the cottage food law was amended and changed, and is quite wide open to sell to the it's called Senate Bill 81, sorry. Senate Bill 81, where they allow you to sell food directly to consumers, and they've increased a lot of the boundaries, and you couldn't sell a certain amount. Now it's I think $150,000 you can make in annual gross revenue selling directly to consumers. Um, um, this will you can stay outside of commercial licensing. Once you start going to farmers markets, they will require you to get certain, like, might have to get a certain permits to work to sell at certain farmers markets. And if you're selling to retail stores, you're going to have to get a commercial license to sell. But I'm going to give some examples. And so, selling homegrown vegetables in Texas is highly accessible with no state license required for direct to consumer retail sales. You can sell whole, fresh, or frozen vegetables from your farm, roadside stand, or at a farmer's market. So this is a picture of the gentleman that I was talking about, sitting here with the watermelon at his feet. He got his cell phone there, and he's just chilling out, waiting for the customers. He ain't got to do nothing. He ain't got to yell. He got eggs on his table in front of him, and he has his square, and he's just all he got to do is wait. He was the only person selling watermelons at this event. And I love watermelon. I think watermelon's a superfood. And I think a lot of people in this group also like watermelon too. He was wiped out before the end of the day. All right. The Texas Cottage Food Law lets you make and sell certain foods from your home kitchen without a commercial food manufacturer's license. Very important. Um, Let me see. Once again, I said that $150,000 in annual gross revenue, while staying exempt from commercial licensing and inspection rules that apply to restaurants and food manufacturers. You are doing this from your kitchen. So this is not a commercial operation, and neither is it a restaurant. This is something that you make in your own kitchen. And so I guess they really want people to have small businesses where they're growing and producing. And in my research, I found that the main people that were pushing against this were the big retailers. They were saying like, no, you can't do that. That's not safe, whatever. They was like, no. And they've been fighting this for years. And like I said, this cottage food law has evolved. It started, I think it says here, the law originally set the cap at $50,000. Now it's $150,000. So you can, it has expanded quite a bit. All right. Once again, the label, so that no mother slides were out of place. Sorry for that. And so here we got right here. This is the food handler's card and certificate. Many of the farmers markets will probably require you to get this. And I think this is also a law too that you need to have this to understand how to properly handle your own food. You can get this card in about 2 hours. You go online, I think it's about $10 or something like that to get it. There's a little test you have to take, but it allows you to produce food. You have this. And by the way, anybody that works with you in your house needs to have this card. I think that all family members, if you're a member of the family, you do not have to have this card. But somebody in your house should have this food handler's safety certificate. Okay. And it's a card and a certificate. I would have it put up somewhere. Let me see. Go to the next one here. These are things that you cannot sell. You cannot sell. As of September 1st, the last update of the Texas Cottage Food Law, you may sell any homemade items directly to consumers, except this is the Texas Cottage Food Law. No meat or meat products, poultry or poultry products. No seafood, including seafood products, fish products or shellfish, and shellfish products. Anything like ice and ice products, including shaved ice, ice cream, frozen custard, these guys are all very temperature sensitive and time sensitive. That's the reason why they do not want people to, if you, it could melt and then bounce back. But what they're trying to do is prevent people from getting sick. There is a window there's a window, a spoil window for the room temperature with your crops, with your food. If food item was sit in a danger zone between 41 degrees Fahrenheit, and 135 degrees Fahrenheit, you support harmful bacteria, and it doesn't qualify for the Texas Cottage Food Law. Let me repeat that. So you have a danger zone. There's a heat sensitive danger zone, 41 degrees Fahrenheit between 41 and 135 degrees Fahrenheit. These foods inside of here will are susceptible to and they support harmful bacteria. They might even go asleep, if you will, but they will come back. And so they really want people to stay away from these particular food items. And even it could be something you made yourself, whatever, but meat, seafood, ice cream, ice products, low acid canned goods, products containing cannabis. Is that marijuana and things like that, and
Yes, sir.
raw milk products. Okay, so those guys, I know they're still bickering over cannabis and things like that. But so these are some things right here. Time limit for perishable food. You have a 2 hour rule. Perishable food should not sit in the danger zone for more than 2 hours total. After that window, the bacterial load can reach levels that make the food unsafe, regardless of whether you reheat it. Okay. I know that this weekend we were in an area where it was warm, right? It was overcast, but it was still warm. And that was like a little danger zone. But we have refrigeration out there, but we wanna be safe and make sure that whatever you're selling, you don't want people to get sick from the food that you make. Okay. Um, it says the clock starts as soon as food leaves temperature control. So you take something out, it used to be frozen or was in a cool environment and you put it on your table. Now it's decreasing in temperature or increasing in temperature. It's no longer frozen. And now you're entering a place where the food could be dangerous. All right.
You're right. We have a few questions coming in regarding the temperature. Would you like to respond to some of them?
Sure, go ahead.
Julia in the chat said, "I see people selling juice at different
Mm.
markets. What about that?"
Yeah, you can't sell juice. Juice is something you can't sell at these markets. You can't sell juice. Yes, you can't sell juice. Anything
That's
else?
no,
Yeah.
that's the only one right now.
That's actually pretty good. I was watching some videos early today, and people were saying, this one lady was saying that freshly squeezed juices are actually inside the Texas Cottage Food Law. Okay. I thought that was really cool. I was just like, I never even I do see people selling like frozen lemonade and things like that. And I did not know that I did not know that I didn't know where it fell in the realm of Texas, the food law, the cottage law, and it's interesting now that let's talk about this for a second. Now, when you're walking through a farmer's market and you see people who are vending with food items, now you can ask them questions. Wow, you're selling turkey legs, right? You're selling this. What permits do you need? You can say that because hey, I'm thinking about doing something very similar. How do you get around some of these? Because let's once again, when we went back to, I want to go back to the slide. This is so important. Who are you selling to? Now, if it's going directly to a consumer, you got your next door neighbors coming over to get something from you, some pies or something you made. That's different than if you're in a market like a farmer's market. It's going to be a whole different set of rules. And then if you're selling to a retail store, it's another whole set of rules. But when you're selling directly to consumers, and I thought about the lemonade stand. If you've seen in the news, you see two guys have a little lemonade stand. then somebody calls the police on them, they shut it down, and they go through all this stuff, and everybody's, their hearts are like, oh no, that's not right. But there's certain laws and things in place. I know that in Texas, I've been driving down highways, and I'll see somebody with a raggedy looking food stand, and they're just sitting there and they're just making money. So it's directly to consumer, and that falls within the realm of the food law, the cottage food law, and fruits and vegetables definitely falls within that. You can sell that directly to the consumer. There's no middle person. I didn't sell it to Uche, then Uche decided to go somewhere else and sell it. No, I'm selling it directly to people. They're taking it home and they're eating it. All right. Let me
You're
see
right. We
what.
have another question that came in.
Yes, sir.
What's an example of a low acid canned food or canned
Ooh.
good?
Okay, hold up. Now you got to make me.
I told you they're going to come with the questions.
That's actually a good one. That's a pretty good one. Um, hold on, low acid.
Because I will assume like if you're selling like maybe pickle cucumbers or something, that's
So
high acid because
low,
pickling.
low. Okay, I'm going to answer your question. I'm glad she asked that question, whoever it was. So vegetables, corn, green beans, mushrooms, peas, potatoes, right? Meats or seafood, tuna, chicken. We already said that's outside the realm. Soups and meats, broth, stews, and pasta and sauce, and then dairy, milk, and puddings, um, unless explicitly acidified. Now, I will say that great question, very good question, because we pickle something called pickles. Anybody know who a pickles is? Anybody have any idea what that is? Okay, anybody know what what's it called? Cha-cha is. It's like a hot relish, and it's made is a dish from Haiti where you put it on. It's a spicy uh, um, relish type of thing. You put it on fish, you put all kinds of stuff. It's amazing. But this is not low acid. This is high acid. You pickle cucumbers. You make your own pickles. I pickled okra before. I pickled jalapenos, and they are excellent additions to your food. But those are high acid. We just mentioned what are low acid. So low acid are just regular vegetables, and you basically just pour. A lot of people just pour it right into a pot or whatever, and just go ahead and eat it. And that's what that is. Hope was that good? Okay, cool.
Yes, sir.
Uh, so here we have a picture, and I think Uche, do you have a question for this right here? Let me see something here. Oh, there was a question. Ask that question about the internet. Number 3. I'm not sure if you can see that one.
Yes, sir. I do see it. So,
Yeah.
everyone, we're dropping in the chat right now another question. Can you sell what you make on the internet based on the Texas food cottage laws? Can you sell what you make on the internet? So, for example, you're in Texas and someone from New York reaches out and they want to buy your food. Can you sell it on it? Right? Is that accurate?
No, I was gonna I'm gonna say, okay, let's say you on Facebook Marketplace, and you
Hmm.
say, I live in San Antonio, and I make these wonderful pickled okra, and somebody in Austin says, "Ooh, I want some." Can you do that?
And just to be clear, I have seen people sell food on Facebook. There's a whole Facebook marketplace food selling businesses going
Yeah,
on, and folks
yeah.
sell from there. So I don't know if they're doing it legally, but I have. But we have answers coming in.
Okay, let me
Uh,
hear the answers.
no, I wouldn't
Okay.
buy it.
Yeah.
No, my guess is no. So
So,
everyone is saying no,
so
which I've
everybody's
seen it.
saying no. Okay, no problem. You may sell food on the internet in Texas, as long as your employee, or member of your household personally delivers the food to your customer.
Oh,
I'm
well, we
personally
all
delivering.
stand corrected.
I'm bringing a bunch of my famous pickled okra to Austin. I got 5 stops to make. I'll see you about 12 o'clock. Yes, sir. And all the information must be on your labels, except your home address if you don't want it there. It must be provided to the customer before the customer pays for the food. So it's not out of state, but it's in state. I wouldn't say like El Paso or somewhere, but
Right.
yeah, somebody said, "Ooh, Uche made his cake. He made another one of them cakes." Let me call him, see if I can get an order.
I guess I stand corrected. I guess people on Facebook Marketplace are within the bounds of the
Legit.
law.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they're
I've seen
legit.
it on I've seen it not only on Facebook, but other social media like YouTube. I've seen channels where people are literally selling right out of their house. But my question is what about over the internet across state lines? Can you do
No,
that?
no,
Because I
but
think that's what the question was.
no. It says my question was, can you sell what you make on the internet based on Texas food cottage laws? And like Uche, man, he said it very early. He said,
I added the state
I'm in New
lines.
York." So like, no, you're not supposed to. That's not Texas food. You would not be covered under that law. But if you make it, promote it on the internet, and you deliver it in Texas, see, our laws are very, by the way, our law, we have some really good laws as far as agriculture is concerned and home-based businesses. So like this is something, like, you have people that, oh, I would love to support you, but I live in Austin and you live in San Antonio. I can get it to you. I'll get it to you. I can get it to you. Okay, you can get it to me? Yes. All right. Let me see. Man, I think I messed up on this one. I'm gonna move this back real quick. Uche, what about number four?
I got you. So y'all already saw the eggs already. So we have another question.
Yeah, just
Uh,
ask it anyways.
I'll ask it anyway. Do you need a license to sell eggs directly to your neighborhood? I mean,
Mm.
you're right. You kind of answered a lot of this already. I
I
mean,
did.
we saw
Well,
Billy right. He had eggs going. Like he sold out them eggs. I'm gonna say it's a yes. I'm
you
just
gonna
gonna
say
be. I'm
yes?
gonna say it's a yes. Like he sold those eggs and they were buying them. So
Yeah, he did. He did.
yeah.
Yeah, he did. Yeah. What are people saying?
All right, we have no responses yet. I'm sure folks are probably thinking about it, but yes, the question right now in chat: do you need a license to sell eggs directly to neighbors? So someone said no to poultry products.
Uh-oh, poultry
Yeah.
products. All right.
Someone said
Let's
no to
let's
poultry products.
okay.
Okay,
Let's
that
go on. Let's go on. I like that. I like that. Texas allows farmers to sell ungraded eggs directly to consumers when the eggs come from the seller's own personal flock. These eggs are commonly referred to as ungraded eggs. That is really deep. I love it. The eggs sold under this exemption may be sold from the farm, at roadside stands, at farmers markets, directly to the consumer. They're not going to a restaurant. They're not going to a wholesale retail place. They are coming right from your hand to Uche's hand. Here's two
mm,
dozen eggs as requested, sir.
wow.
Yep. You can't, like I said before, can't sell to grocery stores. Egg cartons they must be labeled clearly to indicate that the eggs are ungraded and include proper producer identification. You notice, like when you go to the supermarket, it says grade A, they have grades on them and they all look the same color. Look at this picture. Those are ungraded. They are all kind of colors. I don't know who hatched that one or what. And they're not necessarily washed, but they're kind of like the dirt or whatever was on them is just wiped off, you know. Um,
Yeah, I think part of that too is the fact that they've never been heat treated,
yes,
just like
sir.
what you were saying on some other stuff. So that's good. I want to go back to the poultry though. Can you go back there? And I'm not disputing what's on the screen, but my
Okay.
understanding is poultry you can as long as it's raw poultry that that you can even process yourself, you can sell up to 1,000. And this is chickens and I believe turkeys. You can sell up to 1,000 a year directly, directly to consumers. And now over 1,000, you can't do, you're not supposed to do over 1,000. But again, and again, I see this is as of September 2025.
Yeah.
So I just want to ask that because I was just in a conference, and that was kind of the highlight. They were like, look, in Texas, you could do up to 1,000, not over, but 1,000 a year for poultry. Can you check? Can you speak to that?
I have to, Phil, I have to look that up. And I'm gonna also say this. Let me see something here. I'll also say this. If you are selling some of these items, you got to study to show yourself approved, right? You're gonna need to make some phone calls. And one reason why I know a little bit about this is because at one point, we were like venturing out into doing vending with food and different things, and we wanted to make sure that we were under the law. And so you have to like really investigate because I'm really kind of focused on direct to consumer and Texas Cottage Food Law, which is really open as long as you're doing to consumer. But you have to have some common sense and look up information. Let me investigate. Let me look up what I have to do. I spoke to many people. Some people have commercial kitchens. They were like giving me a lot of information. And so like, you have to like kind of fish around and everything is online. You got your cell phone here, this little computer. You look up all kind of information and just find out what you need. And Phil, hold up, I want to look up something that you just said.
And Uriah, why look that up? Add this to your list. We have, a question came into the chat and is referring to eggs.
Hmm.
Do eggs need to be washed and stored in the refrigerator? And I'm guessing from the
Oh,
grower as the producer, do you need to have them washed? Someone did answer it, but I wanted to get your knowledgeable answer response to that.
so yes, it says refrigeration is required. If you sell eggs in Texas, must be kept refrigerated during storage and sale to maintain quality and food safety. Eggs should generally be stored at 45 degrees Fahrenheit or below, consistent with federal safety recommendations. Now, with all that being said, let me put my finger up. I do not refrigerate my eggs that I get from people that sell directly to me. They are on the counter. And understand this, as long as you don't, some people wash their eggs. We do not, once you wash those eggs, you take off a protective coat from those eggs that prevents them from going bad. But if you put them in some type of watery solution or whatever, you would probably have to refrigerate those eggs. I don't necessarily refrigerate my personal eggs. Um, I've actually bought some eggs, and somebody told me to refrigerate. I guess they washed them. I bought some quail eggs, and I had to put them. They told me to put them in the refrigerator. And as a producer, you must give instructions to your consumers on what to do with your product. Do not think that they know exactly what to do with your product. You need to direct people and show them like, hey, I actually washed these eggs, put them in the refrigerator, or these are not washed. They just kind of brushed off. I brushed off the debris from them. Just you can put these on the counter; they will not go bad. But it's really that's do your research. Do your research. And they'll say, "Hey, you're right. You're right. He was on the show and he told me to do this. That's why I didn't do it." And I'll be like, I also said, look it up, look up the information. But I'm still looking up that question, Phil. Hope I answered that one there, Uche. Yeah, in
You definitely
Texas, you
did.
can. So Phil, in Texas, you can sell up to 1,000 birds per year directly to consumers without needing state or federal poultry processing licensing, provided you process them on your own farm. For larger scales, you can process up to 10,000 birds annually under a low volume exemption, and that's good to know. Now, once again, Texas Cottage Food Law is really, let me make sure I'm reading this right because guy trying to get it. Okay. Uh, let me read this out loud. Texas Cottage Food Law lets you make and sell certain foods from your home kitchen without a commercial food manufacturer's license. You made it in your house and you sell certain foods from your home kitchen. You make this and you sell it. So, like, I'm not sure if, I think that what they're saying in a certain situation is like you might have some type of meat pie or some type of, like a patty or something, and you have some meat inside of this. And I'm not sure if, I'm not sure. I think this is where these two laws get kind of combined. And I hear what you're saying about the poultry and meat, but I just that's what I think is going. Like you mix something with it, you made a little patty with it, and I think that's where they're going when they say this, when they say the Texas Cottage Food Law. All right. What's my next thing? Okay, ungraded eggs. Let me see what's next here. Okay, let me back up. All right. Real quick, it says, can you sell unwashed eggs? Yes. Okay, you can sell eggs that have not been commercially washed, provided the eggs are clean and safe for consumption. They say you can't wash them, but they're clean. Like once again, you kind of wipe them off with a cloth or something, a dry cloth, to get off any feathers, any dust, dirt. Okay. Then also, as a seller, you want to make sure that any eggs that are heavily soiled, cracked, or contaminated should not be sold for human consumption. You are doing an eye inspection. I know how many people are familiar with candling when it comes to your eggs. Candling. You familiar? Uh-oh, Uche, talk about candling, please. Talk about candling.
Well, I don't use a candle, but
Okay.
you shine a light behind the egg to visually inspect to check for cracks because that's the best way to really identify it. So I just use a flashlight.
Mm,
But obviously you want a low light, ideally a low light source to check because sometimes heavy light is not good. So a low light source, which is like a candle, will looking at it from the opposite and the candle behind it, you can visually inspect an egg to identify any cracks within it.
cool. Excellent. Excellent. So that's a good thing to know. I know I opened up a bad egg once or twice. And I just recently found out about that. But you definitely want to inspect your eggs. I mean, as a producer, you want a good name. You don't want people to say, man, I'm not buying any more Uriah's eggs, man. I got like three cracked ones and he's, I don't know. You want a good reputation, right? You want a good reputation. This next one right here, I know, man, we're like losing, we're like the time. Now, this is another gentleman that was at the Juneteenth event, and he was selling honey. And so, like, this is another area. I know many people have their own hives. And so, like, this is, I don't know, was there a question for this? Yeah, number five, Uche, you want to do that one real quick? Number five, that's the last one.
Yes, sir. The last question we have before we wrap up, I know we are short in time, but we are
Yeah.
loving this. Do you need a license to sell honey from your hives to consumers? I feel like, folks, we are at the moment where we are all learned. And answers coming in. Nicholas said no. No,
Mm.
no, 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 no. See, you've educated folks, Uriah. I think folks are pretty averse on like what they can and cannot do now. But
Okay.
everyone is saying no. You do not need a license to sell honey from your hives to consumers.
Okay, excellent. That is true. You do not need. Let me break down this once again. It goes down to criteria and who you are. Who are you selling this honey to? So you have three different levels. The first one is the beekeeper honey producer. These are your bees. They are on your property, and you got a bunch of honey beekeepers selling pure raw honey extracted from their own hives and sold retail or wholesale by themselves. They're selling it to somebody else, direct to consumer, right? Or by anyone associated with that person. So I might say, hey, Uche, can you deliver these eggs or this honey to Phil? He said, I got it. Bam, he's taking it to him. Okay. Now you have your cottage food operator. Now listen to this. The cottage food operator is an individual who sells honey from their own hives or honey that they have purchased. Honey can have added flavoring, all right, and must be packaged and produced in their own home kitchen. The
Mm.
annual gross income must be no more than $50,000. It says honey is sold directly to the consumer, not another business within the state of Texas. So you buy this honey and you say, I'm gonna make my special cayenne flavored honey what's it spread, and this is what I'm gonna sell at to my consumers, and they love this stuff. So you're in the cottage food operator place right there. This just makes, but you're not a producer. I just added some of my cayenne, special cayenne sauce to it, and boom, this is like some really good stuff. I sell this to all my people. All right. The last one is a licensed food manufacturer. This is an individual selling and bottling honey from their hives or that they have purchased and inspected in a approved facility. Texas food manufacturing license is required, and honey may be sold to a third party or for resale. You sell in large quantities, and this is also sold for retail. I want resale. I want you to sell this somewhere. Matter of fact, I'm going to HEB, and I got my own brand inside of HEB. Okay. Um, there was one thing that I thought was really, really interesting. This is something from Texas A&M, um, Texas A&M, and it really said how you cannot pasteurize what you cannot pasture if you are a beekeeper, the first level, and you're selling directly to consumers, you cannot pasteurize it. You cannot heat it over 50 degrees Celsius or 122 degrees Fahrenheit. Cannot whip it, which means you putting air inside of it, making like a cream, and then you cannot add any spices or flavors others. This is just straight raw honey from my bees. This is the first level. This is that beekeeper and producer level. You are just selling straight up honey. You might put it through maybe a strainer or whatever to make sure there's nothing weird in it, but you want to make sure that it's just raw honey, which I think is best, right? But the cottage food operator, he's a different level. He might buy that honey from you and then go ahead and add his special spices or whatever to it to make a certain type of honey. And let me see something here. Yeah, you cannot sell cottage food laws does not allow you to sell outside of Texas, right? You can't sell to wholesale to restaurant stores. You're a cottage food operator. This is that second level. And then I got a slide for this. Okay, no, I don't have a slide for that. Okay. But you can, as a Texas cottage food law seller, there are certain things you can't do. You cannot sell outside of Texas. Um, you cannot sell to restaurants, stores, or other businesses, and you cannot ship products to consumer. That's really interesting, but you can deliver it straight to somebody. Somebody can deliver it to you. You cannot like ship it. I think that's a big issue right there. A lot of things cannot be shipped. Okay. Under the cottage food law, there is like no shipping outside of state and even probably within the state. All right. And any comments about this? Anybody have bees on this group? Anybody have any bees that they get honey
Yes,
from?
we do. We do. We have two guests that have indicated, Nicholas and Natasha say they do have bees.
Okay,
And
so
Raquel, we have a lot of what's the grower bee caretakers.
beekeepers. Yeah.
Beekeepers.
So like how do you I want to ask a question. Now I'm curious, like how do you sell your honey? And are you located near San Antonio? I can get some.
I feel like that is a very selfish question, Uriah. You might be fishing for something more than just to inquire, but that's okay. But that's important. Nicholas said hot, jarred raw, or with honeycomb. So
Mhm.
Nicholas does his raw, so he can ship his right. If it's raw, he can ship it. But if it's processed like under the cottage law, he can't ship it, correct?
Wow, that's it. So hold up.
Oh, that was my question. Huh?
Yeah. Going
Because I'm
on.
just going from what you shared earlier because it sounded like he can like if you're under if you're well, I mean I guess direct to consumer. Oh well,
Mhm.
actually, you said direct to consumer because you can probably from that process, jar it, not change the temperature, no whipping. You're just pretty much taking out
It's
any of the
it says
gunk
it
from the.
says it does say here that you can ship pure
Oh,
raw honey.
okay, okay. So
You can
pure raw
ship.
honey, because I presume, right? Because if you're operating under the direct consumer as a producer, you can
Mm.
ship it to an individual who's operating under the cottage law,
Yeah.
right? Because
Mhm.
they will get that, and then they will do their thing, and
Yes.
then they cannot ship it, but it's in because at that point it's processed and they have to sell, they have to be delivered. The only way they can ship, obviously, they have to hand deliver it to
Mhm.
somebody direct. They can't go through the postal service, so to speak.
Uche, I'm not sure. You probably have everybody. I can actually send there's a nice
Oh, I'll send it to everybody. Just yeah, send it to me. I will share more information to everyone for
okay,
sure.
because
For
this was
sure.
pretty good. And like, even some of the language here is ambiguous. So like it might be good to like, you gotta call somebody and say, like, hey, I want to do this, this is what I do, and just really get somebody to say, no, that's permitted, or no, we're out of bounds. So you wanna
Yes.
make sure that you're within the law. You don't want anybody. And I mean, there's so many I just heard something today where somebody was had their little vending booth, and somebody said, "Hey, you don't have this," and they were like within the right to do what they were doing, and
Mhm.
it was a little it was a little intent. It was on YouTube, and the woman was advocating. She says, like, this is why you have to learn the laws, because like a lot of people do not. People who are doing the regulating are not really they don't even know the law sometimes. So you have
Mhm.
to be well versed in it. You don't want to go out and end up somebody defining you, something like that. That's not going to be cool. Let me see
Yes,
something.
yes.
Okay, I think this is my last slide right here. What type of seller are they? What type of seller they are considered? And I went over the three types, and I can read those again. Beekeeper, honey producer. Number two is the cottage food operator. And the last one is a licensed food manufacturer. That's the big guy.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I know we are 7:28. We want to be respectful of people's time, and this was great. We I love it. Does anyone have a question? We have
Or
2 minutes
comment.
left to ask these questions. I know a lot of folks have been asking questions throughout the call, and this has
Mm,
been amazing. I think I've learned a lot. Um, just understanding where I want to be within within maybe I want to be just a producer in certain things. Maybe I want to be under the cottage law for certain things.
yeah.
And
Hmm.
and and you as an individual can determine that what works best for you. There are benefits and there are disadvantages to each one, but one of the great things I learned is you can earn up to $150,000,
Yes,
and
sir.
that's a good yearly salary. I don't know anyone like
Mm.
that's a great yearly salary if you
At,
think about it.
at the very beginning of this presentation, I showed how much the average family consumes. Now, if you were just producing bread, I think everybody in this chat probably buys a loaf of bread once a week. And here you just make bread. I'm selling these, and if you ever made bread, you know that it costs about maybe with all the ingredients, the cup of flour, 2 cups or whatever, it costs about maybe $1 for good ingredients. And they said, like, man, I love Uche's bread, man. I gotta get Uche's bread. Let me call and place an order. You want to be that person, and you can get like a little percentage of all of that money that's leaving your community. I'm just gonna say it like that. You could live in an area that everybody knows you for your bread, and you can just this thing could just be a nice little income stream for you. You
Yes,
know,
sir. Yes, sir.
yeah, just something to think about. I'm just saying, bread. It could be. barbecue sauce, right? Barbecue sauce, hot sauce.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many
Mm-hmm.
things.
So
Salt.
many things. So many things. Well, we are at the 7:30 mark. This was very informative. I learned a lot. I'm sure just from the comments, everyone is sharing that they learned a lot. It was great, awesome. This was extra awesome. Amen. Yes, amen. Thank you, Uriah. Please, this was godsend. So we really appreciate you joining us this today. This was really informative. We will be sharing this with all our attendees as well. So you'll be able to rewatch this and learn more and also grow. If you have any questions about the Texas Bypass program, feel free to reach out to any of us on this call. We can definitely lead you in the right direction and how best you can get your food to consumers directly. All right. So with that being said, we appreciate y'all and be the exception.
All right.
Good night.
Good night, everybody.